Playing catch, cat.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and the guests sitting back there in the corner. I would like to tell you a little bit about how to catch a ball. And I do have some handout material here I'd like at some point you might like to take a look at on how to catch a ball. Which ball would you like me to throw to you? Or would you rather I toss the ball to you?
Toss the big one.
It might be a little easier that way. Playing catch might not be as easy as it appears to be. I grew up on a large farm with a large family, and a large farm back in New England, we had 180 acres, so it was not easy just to go next door and play ball with someone. We were about a quarter of a mile away from our closest neighbors. There were two young fellows that in that family, one of those families, and I enjoyed getting together with them to play catch, play ball. We played baseball in that field quite often. And so it was a lot of fun to get together with them. And I had grown up with brothers and sisters that also played a lot of sports during their school years. And so I was able to assimilate, if you will, a lot of the activities involved in playing catch or playing any kind of ball, actually. The neighbor boys, again, lived about a quarter of a mile away. So one day I decided I wanted to go play, and there was some time available, so I pestered my mother until she said, okay, you can go. And at that point I grabbed my ball and glove and headed over to them. Now there was a shortcut to get there. It went between our fields where we grew corn and hay and so on. And also there was a wooded area where two ends of the woods came together and the road went between them. As I was racing across the field or through the fields and getting to this point, I broke into that open space between the woods, and lo and behold, right there in the middle of the row was a skunk. And I thought, wow, and I immediately did an about turn and headed around the long way to get to go and play ball that day. I did play baseball and many other sports along through junior high, senior high, and ultimately in college. And while I was in college, my major, if you will, was physical education. I did enjoy doing all of the sports and playing games, but there it was that I met a gentleman who was very much involved in working with children who had dyslexia. Dyslexia being, at that point, called an overall problem child, if you will. And one of the major problems they had was visual. They did not always see a sentence the way we would see it, or someone that did not have that particular problem. So in working with this gentleman, I decided maybe this would be a major that I would enjoy doing and working with in the field of physical education, which to me that meant being able to play ball with these children and show them ways of being able to use their eyes better to not become dyslexic, to be able to play maybe with a team even at that point. After I graduated, my primary focus was, again, going to work with dyslexic children, and I did this in a private school with children that had many difficulties. I was a physical education teacher there and also worked one-on-one with these children in helping them to be able to handle the ball in a very simple manner. So as opposed to throwing a ball, maybe I would be tossing a ball to them. And to start with, the first thing I would do is sit on the floor with them, and you can do this with a child as well. Extend your legs out to their toes, and then roll the ball back and forth and give them a feeling of being able to handle this ball without any fear. You go from that point then to kneeling, and that moves the center of gravity up a bit. You can also then maybe just bounce the ball gently between you and this other person. Ultimately, you want to be able to stand, and at that point, very close, maybe just from you and I, just bounce the ball gently back and forth, and work with a large ball to begin with, and ultimately work your way down to the point where you may be working with a small ball that you could toss and they would catch. And catching involves a couple of things. One is, if you're above your belt, you're going to put your thumbs together. If it's below your belt, you put your little fingers together, because that's the easiest way to try and catch. If you're going to one side or the other, thumb to thumb or thumb to thumb, that makes the easiest way to catch. And that's with football as well as baseball. Of course, in baseball, a lot of times it's a one-handed catch with a glove. I also worked with an optometrist that was involved in doing eye exercises for children, and this helped a great deal for me to understand how a single eye doesn't always focus to give you depth perception. So with two eyes, if you're able to get both eyes to focus on a single point, then you have a lot better choice of depth perception, how far something is from you. I looked up how to catch a ball, and this ball that you need to catch, I printed out the information to hand out to you, and it pretty much outlined the things that I was doing back in 1970 when I graduated from college and started working in the field with children with dyslexia. Again, they go through the same process of rolling a ball, bouncing a ball, and ultimately standing close together and tossing a ball with two hands back and forth. Finally, you learn how to throw a ball, and that's then something beyond this playing catch, because when you're playing catch, you're using two hands, but with any other way of throwing, it's with one hand. So the next time you have an opportunity to play catch with someone, you might want to be aware of their abilities and then play catch with them accordingly. Thank you very much.